The 77th annual NBA draft took place on Thursday night in Brooklyn. Unfortunately, our embedded reporter, Marcel in Brooklyn, was unable to attend. But a bevy of blue-chip players were picked. The NBA hyping up all of these players, at least some of them, the very top players there. There were only 58 picks. It's a 2-round draft, but a couple of teams were dinged for tampering, so they lost draft picks. And so there were only 7. There was 58 instead of 60 picks in the 77th annual draft. There'll be a quiz on this later. So I don't know if you watched it. I had interest in 3 picks, and then that's it. I didn't have any interest in anything else after that. The main event was at the very beginning. Victor Wembanyama, the 7'3" Parisian prodigy. I've seen he's 7'2", 7'3", 7'4", 7'5". He looks like the size of a sequoia tree to me. Like I'm in the giant forest watching this guy when he walks around. He's a very tall human being, but he was drafted, and here's how it sounded, the announcement from the lizard person commissioner of the NBA.
With the first pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Victor Wembanyama from Nanterre, France.
Montar! There he is. Oh, look at that. He's doing the strut across the stage there. He shakes hands with Adam Silver and says, can I go back to your home planet? Anyway, so he was picked number 1 overall there. The Hornets took Brandon Miller as the fans booed on Tobacco Road at number 2, and that was just months after he was tied to a deadly shooting, and the Hornets talked about how much great character he has. Scoot Henderson went number 3. I don't know whether or not Scoot Henderson can play. I love the name. It's the name of a star. He's on the Oregon Trail now, much to the dismay of Dame Lillard, as he goes to the Blazers, Scoot Henderson. But don't bury the lead, my man. It's all about Wemby. So let us discuss. The question is this. Now that the draft is over, and what we all anticipated happened, which is not that exciting. You know, when you watch a TV show or a movie or listen to a radio drama or a podcast drama, you don't want to know the ending, right? You want a surprise. We kind of knew the ending on this, but what are the odds? Here's the question. What are the odds that Victor Wembanyama becomes a mega star? So the Maller odds on this. After a thorough review, I spent several minutes cooking up these odds. Minus 600. That implies an 85% chance that Wembanyama goes platinum. I am Benny Brightside on Victor. I've got Village People, pork bellies, and mozzarella. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make an upset stomach is what we're going to make. So, number one. While the Spurs are not a sexy match for Wembanyama, I said that when the lottery happened. I'm not taking away from that take. I am confirming that I believe that take. This is not sexy for my job, for the sports media landscape. It's just not. This does have a high probability of success, and here's why. Right? I'm going 85%. You start out with the basics. He's won the genetic lottery. If you're drafted number 1, you win the genetic lottery. I remember when Yao Ming was drafted number 1. It's like, oh, my God. Look how massive that guy is. But Yao Ming was like filled out, and this guy's got some work in that department. But I know the scouting community, they're all horny for Wemby. They're all excited. He's got the height, unprecedented length, the wingspan. They measured. It's as big as a plane at John F. Kennedy Airport there in New York. It is just humongous. 8 feet. He's only 210 pounds. So the Spurs are going to fatten him up, right? They're going to fatten him up and all that. And he's got all the tools, allegedly. But in the Alamo, he will be surrounded by the Village People, right? Yeah, it takes a village to raise a generational player and all that stuff. So he will have that. If you read the label, it does take a village. So San Antonio, it's sleepy in terms of exciting headlines. But it's also sleepy enough that he can evolve and develop without the extra buzz. Curmudgeon, social justice warrior coach Pop on the sidelines. They've got the infrastructure there. There's a track record. That doesn't really mean anything. It's not all perfect because I looked at the Spurs roster, and barring some kind of dramatic change, Wemby will be surrounded by flotsam on one side and jetsam on the other. That's what he's got. The Spurs are the ultimate no-name bunch. Faceless, empty, devoid of talent. So good luck with that. You're going to be out there by yourself, and there's not a lot around you there. It's a one-man band. Now, page 2. How important is it that Victor Wembanyama succeeds for the NBA? How important is Victor Wembanyama's success for the NBA? So he's in the on-deck circle right now. He's got the bat out. He's got the donut on the bat. And the NBA, like all of these professional sports leagues, they are assembly lines. They're factories. And they have to continually produce a product that is compelling. They need actors that are compelling. They have a Shakespearean drama. And the NBA has been laying the groundwork for Wemby for a couple of years. We started hearing about this guy a couple years ago. Right? Pervasive marketing and proclamations of his greatness. And when you think of this like Wall Street, Victor Wembanyama is soybeans and pork bellies, right? He's a commodity. Too big to fail. Too big to fail in terms of marketing. Not only is the NBA betting a lot, there are a bunch of people who have hitched their wagon to the Wemby wagon. Choo-choo! Yeah, the Wemby wagon. Wembanyama is projected to land a contract of $100 million, not from the Spurs, from Nike. And that will pass the $90 million that LeBron James got 20 years ago when he entered the NBA. So if it is $100 million, it would be the biggest contract ever given to a player who had not yet played in the NBA. That's how confident Nike is, or that's how much disposable money they have, liquid assets they can just throw around. But $100 million, allegedly, for Wembanyama. He's also expected to sign a massive memorabilia agreement with the people over at Fanatics, so they're going to pay him millions of dollars. All of this without scoring a point, all of this without getting a rebound. He will be one of the most commercially successful athletes in the history of America and the world without playing a game. Why? Because people pay on the P word. Potential! Potential, which means you haven't done anything yet. But he's already got the star power. The bots love him. He's got a lot of fake followers there. 1.7 followers on the gram. A lot of those probably fake. 1 million on TikTok. Who knows? I'm not there. 190,000 on Twitter. So he's got all that covered. And that's important. The people over on Madison Avenue value that very much. His on-court salary, not exactly chopped liver. Wembanyama will make an estimated $54 million from his rookie contract, the standard rookie contract, by being the number one pick. So if I do the math on this, and we say that Nike's going to give him $100 million, he's going to get $50+ million from the Spurs. So he's already at $150. Hasn't played a game yet. How much do you think Fanatics is going to pay him? I have no idea. What do you think? That's a few $1 million? I don't think it's that much. Let's say $5 million, $10 million. It's a lot for me. And then what are we looking at here? We're looking at about $160-something million without playing a game. And that doesn't include any other advertisers that hitch their you-know-what to the Wemby wagon. All right, final point. So what would cause Wemby to fail? I'm giving him an 85% chance to succeed. That leaves 15% to go kerplunk and be outrageously bad. Like so bad you got to cover your nose because he smells so much. Looking into the crystal ball that I have, there are two things that pop up. Both of them involve eating habits. I've got mozzarella and Rice Krispies. Now that's obvious. Snap, crackle, pop. And Wembanyama looks so thin. It reminds me of when I was in elementary school and I was bored and I would take those number 2 pencils we used to use when I was a kid and I would snap them in half. And it was very easy to snap them in half. And I look at Wembanyama, and I'm like, wow, that guy looks like somebody could snap him in half. And he must have had fun with Adam Silver because Adam Silver also looks that way. Fatten those guys up a little bit. And then the other thing is the mozzarella, right? Ergo, don't eat the cheese. You start reading the social media praise, buying the hype, and Wemby. This guy's been fond all over it. Right now, there are 3 people sucking his toes as we speak. He's getting his back scratched. People have literally gotten on bended knee for this guy, and he has not earned any of it other than being really tall. And so that is not happening. And for every number 1 pick that is really good, you get number 1 picks like the one that really killed it for me on the NBA draft, Michael Olowokandi. And remember the Toronto Raptors drafted an Italian guy, Bargnani, who was like a point guard, except he was like 6'11" or something like that, and that was a problem because you had to actually have to do like big man stuff at that time in the NBA. There have been plenty of number 1 picks that have been terrible. The Cleveland Cavaliers drafted a guy from UNLV out of Canada who should have immediately just left the NBA and gotten a job selling insurance somewhere because he would have done better at that. Anyway, other than the speculation about Wembanyama's future, what about Damian Lillard? Now, that did not go down. All those rumors, all that bluster, nothing. A lot of chatter, nothing that matters. A lot of chatter, though. The good news is that Dame Lillard will continue to be bantied about on the trading block because we still have, if you hate the NBA and NBA chatter on radio, you're not going to like the fact that for like the next 2 months is the silly season of the NBA. Really like the next month, right? I would say July, late June through July. That's when the main gusto of rumors pops up in the NBA. And then after that, once NFL training camp gets going, which happens in mid to late July, and then preseason games in August, I move away from the NBA. But I do expect us to circle back, as they used to say at the White House, to these Damian Lillard rumors. And it's like a hurricane. You know, here's the storm surge from the hurricane. It's kind of the same concept.